totally excited to be here today to honor and respect a man who's made a difference in the community of Toastmasters that goes beyond just being the membership in Toastmasters, but all the people that get affected by the great leaders that leaders, great communicators. I got to know Mr. Hugh Dunbar back 20 years ago, I cannot believe it. And getting to know him was an inspiration because you basically showed us how to do things right. And I'm curious, what was the inspiration in your life to get involved in Toastmasters and to bring a level of quality into the environment and the groups?
Motivation to get into Toastmasters is I love words. I love the English language. And I was in business like most of us are coming through business, and I thought it would be useful. And then I found out it was very, very reasonably priced, and still is, and that people would actually sit and listen to you for 5 to 7 minutes without interrupting you. And I was hooked, and I came to my first meeting at Naperville Toastmasters in July of 1983, and I never stopped. Never stopped. I just, and of course, if you're a smidgen interested in it, they'll hook you in to be an officer to do something. And I never regretted that. I'm just saying that if you display any interest whatsoever, you're in.
Exactly.
You're in.
How did you hear about it in the first place?
Coworker told me. He attended, and he told me. So I said, well, try that out. And I didn't put it off. I didn't procrastinate. I went right to it. I looked it up on, well, there was no internet then, but I looked it up. And it was Naperville Toastmasters, and I think I'll show up. And then I was very fortunate. The individual who was president at the time, no, he wasn't president, but he was the club member, and he was the leader. You could just tell it all revolved around Artie Knight and his wife. They kept the club tight-knit, kept everybody on track. They weren't overbearing, don't misunderstand me. But this club is 67 years old. I'm 68 years old. They inherited it from the people that started it, and they kept it going. And I learned from them. I mean, I was never more impressed when I went to my first or second meeting, and he gave up. He gave a seemingly extemporaneous speech, flawless. I said, well, I'd like to be able to do that. And you can, if you stay around.
Yes, and you do that very often.
Yeah, but everybody can.
Yeah.
To the best of their ability, to the best of their talents. Everybody can do it. Because I say that to people when they come in here. And it is true. In 3 to 6 months, 3 to 4 months, you'll see remarkable improvement in your communication skills. You don't have to hang around 40 years or 4 or 5 years. You can see it quickly if you dedicate yourself to it. And if you really dedicate yourself to it, you can go somewhere. You know, I've known people that wanted to be public speakers and achieve that goal. And this was the catalyst for that. Toastmasters was the catalyst for their speaking.
So structure has always been your middle name, and you're known for bringing structure. Why do you think structure means so much in the planning of the meeting and the execution of any event that's in Toastmasters?
Because people know what to do and they know what to expect. And it's interesting. You're absolutely right. A club needs structure. Anything needs structure, but especially a club. It has to have guidance, but not a iron hand. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about leadership in the club. There's another issue too. I'd like to say we try to adhere to the example that Toastmasters International does. We have a hierarchy of officers, and we really, really, really want you to have served at least as VP of Education in order to be president of the club. because you find out how the club really works, how people really are, and who you can depend on, who you can't, and that makes your term as president much simpler. But back to the structure, I think that not just the structure of this club, which is extremely important, but the fact is, other than tonight, if you show up at this meeting, you will speak. You will speak. You will be drawn into it. You don't have to be, but you'll have an opportunity. That's what we're about. And in all the years I've been in it, I've never seen, everybody, you'll occasionally get some strange people that are disruptive. But that structure and the habit, custom of people that come all the time reduces their influence. It really does, because they're in a like a pool, and the pool knows what to do.
So it helps develop them to understand that as the parameters and the structures there to give the support.
Correct. And there's certain things we do, and there's certain things we don't tolerate, and that's extremely important. I mean what interests me or amazes me, that after my 40 years and the people I inherited it from, that started this in 1956, it never gets old. It never gets old. I mean, that's, there used to be, when I started up Toastmasters clubs, in order to keep it interesting, you'd have backward meetings and all sorts of goofy stuff. That's my opinion. But if you give people an opportunity to develop themselves, and you have a friendly environment, and we really do, we do exactly what Toastmasters recommends, a friendly, supportive environment. And it's hard to be a rebel and in an environment like that. So we have a minimal of problems. As occasionally you'll get somebody that's a crank, which is a good reason to vote him in, because you can vote him out. But structure is extremely important. And there's other factors. Leadership, again, I think it develops the fact that we try to adhere to International's method. We try to work people up the ranks. I mean, I marvel that the club has 8 or 9 past presidents that remain with it. That's remarkable.
I know for myself, I love the idea of seeing the best in people and seeing where they can get to.
Mm-hmm.
And that develops those leaders, because sometimes they doubt themselves. And in this organization, it really helps support that.
That's a very good point you make. Self-doubt, because when you walk in here, you're in awe of people. You're in awe that they can do those things. Now, I like to tell newer people that if you stay with this at least 4 to 6 months, you will be, when I call it, top 2% of the population. You'll be able to present your ideas in a cogent, thorough, interesting way. You just will. So you're already at the top 5 or 2% of the population. And it just goes up from there. You can see the confidence build in people, too.
It takes a lot of confidence to go on stage. So when it comes to the contest, that has always been the showcase of the skills of Toastmasters. How do you see the contest, the value of that, and participating in that?
Well, you get, it does take you to another level or two. Simply the preparation. The other thing that I found about the contest is you'll create a speech that you think is dynamite and can't lose, and then you'll go to the contest to lose. And you think, that must have needed more work. It also makes you humble, because you see people that are really, they're just naturals. They love the competition. They're great speakers, and that will require you. You talk about dedication, and it's like Major League Baseball or any major league sport. Practice is one thing, but once you walk between the lines and you're on the field, that's different. Well, the contest is walking between the lines. Now you're on the field.
Right.
That's a different experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Great
so,
one, but it's different.
so all the contests that you've seen throughout the years, do you remember any one of them being something that you'll never forget?
Yes, there's a number of them I could tell you. There was a speech given by an individual who, in my opinion, was not that really good of a speaker. He gave a speech on
Bob O'Neill.
It was priceless. I don't know where he finished, where he competed within the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. I don't know where he was, but when I heard him give that speech, I thought, the rest of you just go sit down.
It was the humorous speech, and actually I do remember.
You remember that?
I was there. He was in my club, and he basically
tremendous.
Yeah, he's not the greatest speaker.
No, but he was that night.
He was spot on, and he was just like talking about the word awe and how it actually there should be gratitude to having the word awe. And there was a humorous speech contest, and he won. Hands down, he won.
People started laughing in the first 30 seconds and never stopped. I'll tell you the other one I really remember when I was district governor. The district humorous speech contest was, in my opinion, impossible to judge. And I said that from the lectern before we gave out the awards. I said, I do not envy you people, because any one of these people could have won this contest. And I'm glad I wasn't a judge, because that's probably the greatest speech contest. That speech contest was at the humorous, which doesn't go to the international. But that speech, if they had an international, any one of those people could have gone. Yeah, I remember that one at the spring conference. And there's others. Occasionally you'll have to, and this is my advice, if you ever have to evaluate a perfect speech, tell them to keep doing it. Rarely, but occasionally you'll find a perfect speech. Bob Roman was like that. He was a past district governor. He is a past district governor. He could do that. He could come up with a speech that was just home perfect. Yeah. And he's the guy who told him that. He says, if you ever evaluate a perfect speech, just tell them to keep doing it. And there are. Occasionally you'll hear one. Yeah.
So we have a great organization. We have the club level, we've got the district level, and then we got the international stage. And I remember that you were the chairperson, the conference chairperson for the international convention.
That's correct.
That came to Chicago back in 2000?
2000. 1999, 2000.
Okay.
It was this Toastmasters International kind of manipulated the language. It's the golden anniversary, it's the 75th anniversary.
Okay.
Well, it really wasn't, but it was. Okay. And it was
Close enough.
Yeah. And that was the greatest thing I ever did in Toastmasters, and the greatest honor that they'd allow me to do that. Now they do most of the work. Let me retract that. They do the upfront work. They get the hotel, obviously. They plan the menus. However, what really makes the thing work is manpower. That's our job. We have to get the right people. And I mean, there's 40 events there. And we put a manager in charge of everyone. That's, of course, you get a lot of, when you have a local, when the international convention is in your hometown, people do respond. They really do. So we had plenty of people to select from, but that was the greatest experience in my Toastmaster life. I really enjoyed it.
The international convention is so spectacular. The parades of the flags gives you the feeling that you're really interacting with everyone around the planet.
That's right.
And to be there as a chairman, putting this together, I'm sure that you had a lot of communication with headquarters prior to it. How exciting was that?
Yeah, they called me up and asked me, and I said, well, I'd be honored to do it. I said, however, there's other people here, and they said, no, we want you to do it. I said, okay, if that's what you want, I'll be happy to do it. Yeah, and then, yeah, you get pretty close to the people. Just saying, Stan Stills.
Okay.
He was, I forget his title, but he and I worked real closely then. That's how long ago that was. He's been around that long. But that was a great event, and you're correct. The flags, and then the night, the president's dance where you stand. There's two district governors. The district governor of the district that will have the next conference speaks to pop up.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Then I think it's a president's dinner dance, and there's 1,500 people there. The district governor speaks, and that was interesting to speak to 1,500 people. 15, there might have been 2,000 people there. It's a huge event. I'll tell you an anecdote too. We had a luncheon, and there were 500, 600 people there. And we had an Indian dish, which was spicy. It was wonderful, but it was spicy. And I thought, there's got to be somebody that's going to complain. We didn't get one complaint.
Really?
Not one.
Oh my God.
Not one. About the spiciness. And it was, yeah, I don't know why that sticks out.
It's great.
Yeah. But everybody, it's good food. It's good food.
So one of the things we're doing this year is trying to get all the past leadership together. And Keith Essex is reaching out to past district governors and district directors because there's a huge need for the ones who walk before you.
That's right.
To help the ones that are walking
This
now
club
and in the
proves it.
future.
You're absolutely right.
So do you have any insight about, in the past, there used to be where you would get together at least twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. But what do you feel about that success plan to do that?
Well, it's in the middle. I mean, sometimes if you have a district governor that cooperates, what are the problems with that? And this is a good rule we have. A district governor may not compete him or herself. So your term is only 1 year. And having been through this, at a number of levels, that's a good rule. It's a bad rule if you get a really great district governor, like you are, and say, "Look, God, she can't go on." But if you get a problem, and we've had them, you can toughen out for a year.
Yeah.
That's the problem with that council, is you give the advice, and you're really dealing with two different governors, district governors. You're dealing with the present one and the future one, whoever that will be. So I think it's a great idea. I think that experience is invaluable, but implementing can be real problems. Just can be problems.
Well, we've had quite a shift since COVID and with the organization. There's some pluses that we've learned. I know I've been a person that really sees the pluses we've gotten from it, but then definitely we've had some real struggles.
Real setbacks.
What are your viewpoints about the last 4 years and what's happened?
Well, it does show the president of the club at the time, Emrich, saved this club. He saved it because of the technology, because of the Zoom meetings. There are several other situations I've seen where that happened. But are clubs still meeting but via Zoom?
Today, we have a mixture of everything. We have some clubs that are meeting just in person, and then some that are doing hybrid, and then some that are doing Zoom. We have a mixture of it. And we're going through that kind of terrain of shifting where all I hear is people want to get back together again. They want to be in person. They want to see each other. They want to have that pressure of standing in front of an audience. And because you don't have post-notes in front of you over the screen. So there's that need, but then we have to try to get the people out of their home and their comfort zone to come to these events. So I just feel like we have to just put on more events to get that party going again.
Well, that's a good way to put it. No, I'm in your kingdom. I love to go back to the old days when there was just, and hybrids, I don't particularly care for them, but I can see the value. but meeting only by Zoom. Of course, there are clubs that meet from all over the world now, I've been told. But there's no substitute for person. There just isn't. And that's being said, I mean, people 100 years ago and 100 years from now will be the same way. There's no substitute for personal interaction. So, however that, I suppose if the way to do that is that a new club is chartered, they have to meet.
Well, one of the things that we just found out just recently from TI is there next year, all the contests will be in person.
Good. Great.
So it's going to be a huge shift there, and I think it's going to bring up the caliber of that, because I think we've got tech savvy pretty good. I like the idea of being able to know where the camera's at, know how to speak to the camera, and how to interact.
Mm-hmm.
Those are good skills we learned, but it's time to get that off on the stage as well.
Do you, so they're going to go back to that contest in person. What are we going to have, the international and humorous?
International is every year,
Right.
Then the district decides on the other ones.
Keep the humorous. People love it. They'll come out for that. Now you do it all on the same day, I think.
Yeah, well, it depends on, again, you put on events, so you're looking at the
Yeah.
cost of it.
Right.
And we spread it out. We have enough people to stay overnight,
Right.
24. That comes around.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's baby steps to moving forward to getting it back to that 3-day conference.
Well, this is pertinent to that because when I joined the organization in '83, they had just gone to meeting at the conferences on Friday night. The reason they did it, quite frankly, is it was more of an old boys club then. So these guys would all get together on a Friday night, have dinner, go into the bar, and then somebody said, "Hey, no, this is true.
I love it.
Why don't we have a speech contest, humor speech contest?" Great idea, and it was a great idea. So there we put Friday night in. But people, they love the humor speech contest. Love it. They love the international. Those two contests there's nothing else I would do if I've only had two. Those are the two I do. Even more than the evaluation. So.
Well, I just want to take this opportunity to state that I've been so impressed with knowing you for so long and seeing the differences that you made. And the success of Naperville Toastmasters Club, have 48 members.
It's remarkable.
And it's active and they're participating and people stay with it. Yeah. And that's because the one started the few started the many, and they kept that structure together and they made it the energy there. Mm-hmm. And now you probably could reflect on so many people that walked through the club and made a huge difference in other people's lives.
Even though they might be here only 2, 3, 4 years. Yeah, I can think of people here, absolutely.
Because you can see the changes in them.
Yeah.
So we want to recognize you in District 30. I know we had the event that you were so wonderful to put together last fall that it was fantastic. And it was a great turnout, and the members of your club love you, and that goes beyond that. The district loves you. But I also want to give you a little token. It's a coin that says, "You make a difference," and I just love that. And I love that.
Thank you.
That you could put that on your desk and say that the District 30 recognizes you for that. I'm open it for you.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say regarding this is, there's a History of the American People by Paul Johnson. He's an English historian. He loves the American people. And he said this about the founders of this country, and I've taken it for him. He said, "Who's in charge really matters." It's good to who's in charge really matters. Get your good officers. They'll get it done.
And that's what it's been. Oh, no, thank you. Thank you for making a difference in many people's lives.
Thank you.
And you made a pressure on me. And now I'm twice a district director, and you could see that you made a person.
I envy you, but I couldn't do it. Not the energy or the tech savvy. You're tech savvy on it.
Well, it just started back when I was so afraid and so scared that I couldn't even say my name in the club. Don't look at me. I'm just here to learn. But, oh my God, what a difference it made. So keep on doing because we need you above here.
I'm just going to stay as long as I'm above ground.
Stay above.
I'm trying to. Are we done?
Yes.
I got to get in there and see the. Oh yeah, we got time. I want to see everybody. I'm sticking around now.
You better be.
You're the first speech.